Adelie penguins. When we think of them, we often picture something quite delightful. We see small comical figures waddling across the vast white landscapes of Antarctica. They are dressed in their smart black and white coats, like little gentlemen at a formal gathering. Their clumsy movements on land, their tobogganing slides on their bellies, and their seemingly playful interactions have charmed us for generations. They appear in films and documentaries as symbols of innocence and resilience, surviving together in one of the harshest environments on Earth. This image is strong, a comforting picture of simple, harmonious life in the wild. This perception of gentle innocence is deeply ingrained in our culture. We see them as devoted parents, carefully tending to their eggs and chicks, working together to fend off predators from the sky. We imagine their colonies as bustling, cooperative societies, where every individual plays its part for the good of the group. This view makes them seem almost human in their social virtues, but without our complexities. They are, in our minds, harmless and friendly creatures. It is a lovely thought, and for a long time it was the only story we knew about these remarkable birds. It is a story that makes us smile, a story we wanted to believe was complete. The endearing image is so powerful that it is difficult to imagine anything else. We see them gathered in their thousands, a sea of black and white, and we assume it is a picture of pure community spirit. We watch them diving into the frigid waters, sleek and graceful, and we admire their skill. The narrative we have built around the Adélie penguin is one of simplicity and charm. It is a story that fits neatly into our desire to see nature as something pure and uncomplicated, a world away from the often messy reality of survival. But the natural world is rarely so simple, and sometimes the truth is far more surprising than we could ever expect. This popular image, however, is only one part of the story. It is the public face of the Adélie penguin, the one that has been presented to the world for over a century. It is a comfortable and appealing tale, but it leaves out some darker, more unsettling details. Like many things in nature, there is a hidden side to their lives, a chapter that was kept secret for a very long time. This other side reveals a world that is far from the simple, charming picture we have come to love. It shows us that even the most seemingly innocent creatures can have complex and sometimes shocking behaviors. Our journey into the secret life of Adélie penguins begins over a century ago. It was the age of heroic exploration in Antarctica. Between 1910 and 1913, Captain Robert Falcon Scott led the Terra Nova expedition, a brave and ultimately tragic attempt to reach the South Pole. Aboard that expedition was a scientist, a zoologist named George Murray Levick. He was the first person to spend an entire year observing the world's largest Adélie penguin colony at Cape Adare. He was there to study their behavior, to document their lives in this remote and frozen land. He expected to find what everyone else did, a simple story of survival. What Levick witnessed, however, was something entirely different. He saw things that deeply shocked him. The penguins were not always the gentle, cooperative birds of popular imagination. He saw brutal fights break out between males, not just for territory but for dominance. He observed groups of penguins which he called hooligan cocks, teaming up to attack rivals, sometimes with lethal force. He saw them stealing stones from each other's nests, a behavior we now see as quite common. But he also saw them engaging in acts that were far more disturbing, behaviors that went against all the accepted ideas of animal life at the time. Levick was so horrified by what he saw that he felt he could not share it with the public. The early 20th century was a conservative time, and the behaviors he documented were considered too scandalous for the public to read. He believed that the details of the penguins' mating rituals and violent conflicts were too shocking. Instead of publishing his full findings, he wrote them down in a separate pamphlet titled The Sexual Habits of the Adélie Penguin. He wrote the most explicit parts in ancient Greek, hoping that only educated gentlemen of science would be able to read and understand them. For nearly 100 years, Levick's secret notes remained hidden. His official, published work on the Adélie penguins was carefully edited, presenting the familiar, acceptable version of their lives. His private, more disturbing account was lost to history, passed around privately among a small circle of scientists and then forgotten. It was a secret buried in the ice, a testament to how one man's discovery was too radical for his time. The charming image of the penguin was preserved, while the more complicated truth was locked away, waiting to be rediscovered by a new generation. The secret of the Adelie penguins was finally brought to light in 2012. A copy of Levick's hidden pamphlet was discovered at the Natural History Museum in the United Kingdom. When it was translated and published, it revealed the full extent of what he had witnessed all those years ago. The behaviors he described were shocking, even to modern scientists. He wrote of gangs of male penguins attacking females and chicks. He documented forced mating, necrophilia, and other violent acts that completely shattered the innocent image of the species. It was a raw and brutal side of nature that had been deliberately concealed. The revelations were startling because they showed a level of social complexity and violence that few people associated with penguins. The hooligan males Levick described would wander the edges of the colony, causing chaos. They would attack nests, drive off parents, and sometimes kill the young. This was not the orderly, cooperative society we imagined. It was a world of intense competition where survival sometimes involved shocking brutality. These were not just isolated incidents. Levick documented them as regular parts of life in the massive colony. The truth was far darker and more complex than the simple story of cute waddling birds. When these findings became public, the reaction was one of widespread surprise and fascination. People were forced to reconsider everything they thought they knew about these beloved animals. The contrast between their adorable appearance and their newly revealed dark side was a powerful one. It was a story that spread quickly, capturing the public's imagination. How could an animal that looked so charming be capable of such things? The discovery reminded everyone that our human interpretations of animal behavior are often too simple. We project our own ideas of innocence and morality onto them, but nature operates by its own set of rules. For scientists, the rediscovery of Levick's work was incredibly valuable. It provided a historical baseline for animal behavior, recorded before major human impact on the Antarctic environment. It showed that these behaviors were not new or a result of modern pressures, but a natural part of the penguins' lives. Levick, once a man who hid his findings in shame, was finally recognized as a pioneering observer of animal behavior. He was simply ahead of his time, a scientist who saw a truth about the natural world that his society was not yet ready to accept. The story of George Murray Levick and the Adelie penguins serves as a powerful reminder. It teaches us that animals are far more complicated than they appear on the surface. We often fall into the trap of anthropomorphism, giving animals human-like qualities and emotions. We see the Adelie penguin's tuxedo-like feathers and upright posture and assume it is a polite, gentle creature. But nature is not a storybook. It is a world of survival, driven by instincts and behaviors that have evolved over millions of years to ensure the continuation of a species, no matter how unsettling they may seem to us. This dramatic difference between perception and reality is not unique to penguins. Many animals that we consider cute or simple have complex social lives and behaviors that would surprise us. The natural world is filled with intricate strategies for mating, raising young, and competing for resources. What we may view as cruel or strange is often a necessary part of an animal's life cycle. Understanding this requires us to set aside our preconceptions and observe with an open mind, just as Levick did, even when the findings are uncomfortable. There is always more to learn, always another layer to uncover. The revelation of the penguins' secret lives does not make them any less wonderful. If anything, it makes them more fascinating. It shows them not as simple cartoons but as complex beings shaped by the intense pressures of their extreme environment. Their story is a testament to the raw, unfiltered reality of the wild. It encourages us to look beyond the surface, to ask deeper questions, and to appreciate the full spectrum of behavior that exists in the animal kingdom. The world is full of such stories, waiting to be discovered, challenging our understanding at every turn. Ultimately, we must approach the natural world with a sense of humility and curiosity. There is still so much we do not know. Every new discovery, whether it is delightful or disturbing, adds another piece to the grand puzzle of life on Earth. The Adelie penguin, once a symbol of simple innocence, has become a symbol of nature's hidden complexity. It reminds us that the wild will always hold secrets, and that the greatest adventure is to continue exploring, observing, and learning, ready to be surprised by what we find. If you enjoyed uncovering these hidden truths about the animal kingdom, make sure to subscribe for more fascinating facts and stories from the wild. There's always more to discover.